Here? Okay. Yeah, so thank you for being willing to speak to me, How to Freedom, over Discord regarding Kyle Rittenhouse. For anybody, for the five people that might listen to this recording, the context here is it's May 24th, 2021, and I observed some of your Reddit posts. I think it was on. Do you remember what subreddit it was?
Yeah, we're on. It's the media criticism.
Media criticism, right? So, I think it'd be fair to say that we kind of exist on two sides of an issue regarding Kyle Rittenhouse, and for any listeners that don't know, that's the shooting that took place in Kenosha, Wisconsin, 2020. So, a few almost it's going to be a few months to a year now. And this topic we're going to be discussing is going to be about Kyle Rittenhouse and the both the moral and legal implications of what I feel is rightful self-defense, and I know that you have a different feeling on that issue. So that's the background
Right.
and the context. Would you agree?
I would agree. Yes.
Okay. So I feel when people kind of discuss very complex topics like that, because I think we both can agree that Kyle Rittenhouse, the what happened with Kyle Rittenhouse is a very complex topic, in as much as it relates to freedom of speech and the Second Amendment, but not even just those two, but the concept of self defense itself. Would you agree with that?
Sure.
Okay. So I'm coming in good faith. I want to come in good faith. Because it's always possible that you might know something I don't. And I guess to start, can you walk me through, uh, your what your knowledge of the events that regard Kyle Rittenhouse?
Sure. I think that the most important context, I think that the source context is where our stories differ.
Right.
I believe that his initial criminal act, possessing that firearm illegally,
Okay.
puts him in a situation where he becomes liable for any harm that comes from this. Now, to back that out into a larger context that I didn't put in the Reddit post, this whole subject is about equal justice under the law.
Right.
This whole thing came down to a perceived injustice in the way black people and white people are treated in legal situations, for example. In Wisconsin state court and all over the country, black people who are charged with crimes often have their punishments expounded because of the possession of an illegal weapon. Even if other things happened that might have been justified, the fact that they had that weapon on them has an impact, and that's changing the makeup of incarceration. And that is one of the many reasons that black incarceration is so much higher. So my argument here is that whatever standard we apply to Kyle Rittenhouse in regards to illegal possession of a firearm needs to be the same standard that's applied all across the entire justice system.
One.
So we can't give him a pass on that.
Okay. I 100% agree. I think that comes down to sentencing, like a judge being able to be liberal with his sentencing. I think that's a different topic, but just to stop you, for maybe the five people in the world that care to listen to this audio recording, what I mean is, can you walk me through the facts of what happened to Kyle Rittenhouse as you know it? So for example, if someone comes in and listens to this audio recording and says, and they go, "Oh, I don't know who Kyle Rittenhouse is." Well, I explained it. What happened with Kyle Rittenhouse? What is your knowledge of what happened? Yeah, that's what I mean.
He went to Kenosha, mostly following sort of a social media thread or groups that he was on. In his belief, for positive reasons, he went there to clean graffiti, he went there to put out fires, he went there to offer medical attention, and he also went there to protect property he had no connection with, property he was not tasked with protecting, property that he had no association with at all. So I think that that's a bit of a stretch of a claim, but that was his intent. He went there with noble intentions the whole time.
Okay.
However, as he was going through the streets, there was a confrontation. We don't know the details of that confrontation. In the Reddit thread, I've had a number of people give me different versions of it. But what we know is that there was a confrontation between him and a group. And at some point, something led to a member of that group chasing him away.
Okay.
My opinion of that is that he was sort of threatening them and just kind of intimidating them with his gun and being the militiaman he was there to be, and they just didn't follow him. So regardless, where we know the facts start, Kyle is being chased by another man.
Okay.
However that got initiated.
Okay. So my understanding of the facts of Kyle Rittenhouse is that Kyle Rittenhouse was at the time a 17-year-old white male who lived in somewhere in Illinois, and that he did not live in Wisconsin, and that on August 25th, on the day of August 25th, he went to Kenosha, and he in some point during that day he was able to arm himself with an AR-15 that did not belong to him, and that it was loaned by I think the facts are that it was loaned to him by a 19-year-old friend. So, and as you said, he was there with good intentions, and that his
Can I pause you just on that, because I'm not 100% sure that that's factual. I understand it, and I could be wrong, but I understand it is that he purchased that weapon with his friend, and they stored it at his friend's house.
Okay.
That was Kyle's gun stored at his friend's house, as I understand it.
Okay.
I could be corrected, but I want to at least clarify that.
You could be totally right. I wouldn't know. That's why I wanted to go through the facts of the situation as I understand it right now.
Sure. Please continue.
So he was there on August 25th, cleaning graffiti, and as night fell, a riotous mob, what started as a peaceful protest, to my understanding, eventually became a riotous mob, and there was a situation involving a group of people who had lit a dumpster on fire, and they lit a dumpster on fire, and Kyle had been separated from his group one way or another. I'm not sure on, and he had put out the fire of the dumpster, and the dumpster was being rolled into a gas station. That's the facts of the situation as I know it. And then either sometime later, I don't know if it was hours later or 5 minutes later, Kyle was being chased by 36-year-old Joseph Rosenbaum, who was a registered sex offender. And Kyle was being chased, and he heard.
Well, what does his prior criminal history have to do with the relevant facts of the night? That's what's important here.
Well, I guess you're right. For the facts of what I'm explaining, I guess it doesn't. So he called me out. There you go. So he was being chased through a parking lot, and there was a pistol shot behind Kyle. Kyle turned around and saw Joseph Rosenbaum lunging for his weapon, and that's where the first shooting took place. Is that correct to your knowledge of the events?
I believe that it's based in fact. I do think that there's a little bit of conjecture in there. I don't know if the facts of the dumpster fire story are accurate or not. I know that is one of the reports, and I wouldn't discount it as being possibly true. What I do know, or what I also don't know, is that the gunshot that's in the video, we have no reason to believe that it has anything to do with the events, because there were guns being fired off all over town. People on both sides. There were people who were there on the militia side. There were people who were there in protest. People were firing guns. The whole thing was a mess. So that gunshot may or may not have any relation to this event at all. There is zero evidence to suggest that it does, so adding it in is a bit of conjecture and slant.
Okay.
We do know that Kyle was running away from Rosenbaum far longer than until that gunshot. So it's not that he just turned around and all of a sudden saw Rosenbaum there. He was running away from Rosenbaum the entire time.
Okay.
So I don't understand it as all of a sudden he was surprised to see somebody coming for his gun. I think that is conjecture and spins the outcome some.
Okay. Okay. I mean that's 100% possible. And if I am lying to you, that or if I'm lying about the
I
normal.
don't believe you're lying to me. I would not claim a lie. I would say that a misunderstanding of the information or an acceptance of unproven information, I don't think you're lying to me in any way, shape, or form.
Okay. I'm just saying if I was lying to you, then this whole conversation would be in bad faith. So I am trying to come to you in good faith. Um,
Sure.
so after Joseph Rosenbaum was shot, um, then Kyle was chased by the mob, and he tripped. He had a bag thrown at him, a plastic bag, by an unidentified.
That was before the first shot.
Yes. And to my understanding, a still unidentified individual. He tripped and fell down. Um, then he was like a jump kick. An African American individual jumped up and tried to stomp on Kyle's head. A shot rang out. The African American individual ran. Then I can't remember his name, but skateboard guy came up and with his right hand hit Kyle in the back of the head with a skateboard, and with his left hand grabbed the AR-15. Is that accurate?
Um, yes, I think that it's questionable whether the contact with the skateboard was intentional or incidental.
Okay.
I think that could be looked at both ways. My viewing of the video, it does not look like he both hit him with the skateboard, as is often portrayed, and grabbed the gun. It looks to me like as he's running past him to grab the gun, he gets hit with the skateboard. That is conjecture on both sides, and I don't think is strong evidence one way or the other. But otherwise, all of that sounds correct.
Okay. So when the gentleman with the skateboard was on top of Kyle, he had his left hand on the AR-15. Kyle, while on the ground, swung his AR-15 around and shot the skateboard guy in the chest. The skateboard guy clutched his chest, walked about two steps, and pretty much collapsed dead on the pavement. Does that
Sounds right.
sounds right? Then Gruber, just something, I can't remember this guy's name, but a gentleman came up to Kyle and appeared to be surrendering. Kyle had his firearm pointed at this individual, and then the individual kind of rushed forward and um, uh, with kind of an aggressive stance and did something I can't remember quite to my memory with his right arm, and was shot in the right bicep. Later pictures revealed that individual had a Glock 17, a Glock type pistol in his right hand, and was unable to drop it because when he got his arm shot, his muscles clenched up. Is that correct to your knowledge as well?
Uh, yes. Yeah, all that sounds right.
Okay, and then there was a fourth individual who had his hands up. Kyle pointed his firearm at this individual, but did not shoot. Kyle then stood up and walked down the street with his arms up and his rifle dangling from his chest, and that's pretty much the end of the video. So the reason I wanted to go through this big rigmarole is to understand that there are facts, and that there's a narrative of events that we agree on and that we can work from a base on.
Sure. And I think as I'm sort of thinking about that, I would like to put a difference of opinion on the third person shot. Yes, he was armed. I think that what we do tend to do is look at our replay of the video when we can pause and rewind and analyze pixel perfect and put our impression on it. But what was happening in very real time all took place in the matter of a second or two,
That's right.
where Kyle is on the ground, he had already shot someone, he sees someone else coming for him, And we assume that that person faked a surrender and then decided not to surrender and then went for his gun, and that Kyle recognized he was surrendering and then didn't. And we assume that all those things were observed choices, where it seems to me that the reality was everybody was just sort of responding. I don't think that he faked surrender. I think that he stuttered and kind of, I don't know, didn't know what to do. I don't think Kyle made a decision to shoot whether based on whether he had a gun or not. I think that he just felt there was a danger, so he fired again. I don't think that all of those associations that we put on after having rewound the view actually play into the mindset of the people who were involved, particularly in the case of that third shot.
So I think what you're talking about is that um, actions, particularly defense actions, are always viewed in perfect hindsight, right? And that self-defense, and this may be a reach, but do you feel that cases of self-defense should not be judged with perfect hindsight that we live in, but should be judged with the limited information that the individuals involved knew about at the time?
I would agree with that. I think the problem with how we perceive that particular incident is we tend to put a lot of emphasis on the fact that he faked a surrender and then went for his gun. We put a lot of justification for the actions behind that specific incident that I don't think fit the reality on the ground. The reason why I bring it up is because I don't think that that piece of the conversation should really be given a lot of credence.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna stop the recording here. I'm probably just gonna call that this particular part of our conversation kind of establishing the facts. You know, I feel it's a very important that's a very important thing that a conversation needs to do. So I'm gonna stop the audio recording, and then I'm gonna start it back up again because I want to switch gears into a new thing. So.